This SharePoint and Laserfish demo is something that we're going to show right now that's pretty universal to most hospitals, medical groups, and managed care organizations. It's going to be the process of credentialing or re-credentialing a physician to give them privileges to practice at your facility, or in the payer's case, make sure they qualify to be accepted into a health plan. This is just one example of a business process that a healthcare organization can rapidly deploy using the tools offered by SharePoint and Laserfish. So we'll start today's presentation by taking a look at what we call Laserfish web link. And so for a physician applying to practice at a certain facility, a hospital in this case, they can go in and take a look at the credentials policy. So this is a public portal that physicians can go into, take a look, and see what the medical staff bylaws are in terms of credentialing. We'll scroll down, take a look at all the policy, download a copy of the application, and we'll fill it out. We'll mail it in, fax it in, however it is that we want to get it to the hospital's medical staff services, and from there they can go ahead and scan it into their repository. Now the page we're looking at now is a SharePoint site. It's a portal created for medical staff services and someone who is a credentialing coordinator. You'll see that we have on the bottom here a Laserfish web part that gives them a look into the Laserfish repository directly from their SharePoint portal. So in this case, we can look at our current applicants here. We have 5 pending applicants, and then their status, their most recent status that have them updated. So if anyone has a question about a specific physician who's applying, they can quickly go to their portal. Medical staff service can look and see where they are along the credentialing process. And up top here is where we would have new incoming applicants and tasks specifically for the medical staff services credentialing coordinator. So the case we're going to walk through is a physician coming in and looking to be appointed for privileges at our Los Angeles County Hospital. The first thing we're going to do when we receive their application packet is scan in all the documents into our Laserfish repository using the QuickFields scanning platform. When we receive Dr. Dorian's application packet, it's going to come with some supporting documentation and like his CV and his DEA license. And we're going to go ahead and batch scan that all together, and what Laserfish QuickFields will do is it'll separate all those documents and name them so that we can go back and review these and make sure that he has everything that he needs before we start pushing this application through the credentialing process. So once we scan them in there, we'll go back to our medical staff services portal, and we'll actually refresh this page now, our SharePoint site. And we'll notice the top part under applicant, we now have a new task. It says applicant for review, Dr. Dorian, and we have a link to his page that we automatically created. And you'll also notice here on the bottom portion, the Laserfish web part, we have a new folder for Dr. Dorian, and we have his status set as completeness verification pending, so which means that our credentialing coordinator needs to check to see if all the documents have been received. So as a credentialing coordinator, I'm going to go in and take a look at some of the different images that we've scanned in here. I might take a look at the application, make sure everything is filled out, all the information is correct. I might take a look at his CV to make sure he has that. We'll scroll down and take a look at everything. So if everything looks okay, we can go back here, and this is what's going to drive the credentialing process, is our template fields. So I can choose the departments that he had applied for, in this case internal medicine and pediatrics. And yes, the application is complete, and we can hit save. So that's going to kick off my credentialing workflow now. I'll go back to the page just to demonstrate really quickly. Once I refresh this, you'll notice that my SharePoint task for Dr. Dorian is going to disappear. So now I don't have any active tasks. However, on the bottom, with my Laserfish web part, you'll see that Dr. Dorian's file is still here, and it's now has changed to chairperson review pending. So now the 2 department heads that Dr. Dorian is applying for privileges to are now going to receive a notification email. So we look at our email client, and the department heads will each receive an email automatically generated with the workflow engine, and they either have the option of using this link to take them to the thin client and access documents in that way, or they can even open up a direct attachment into the Laserfish thick client repository. So I'll just do that for now. I'm prompted for a username and password. We also have Windows authentication if to support Active Directory. I'll go in there and I'm taken directly to Dr. Dorian's folder, and I'll review his application here. Same application we were looking at earlier, except now we're looking at it through the thick client. I might review his CV or his DA license, make sure everything's there, and then I'll write up my recommendation for what I think Dr. Dorian, whether he should be appointed or not. And I'll hand that to someone. They could go ahead and scan it for me, and this is where Quick Fields comes into play again. With that same barcode that was generated for him, for Dr. Dorian at the very beginning, whoever's operating the scanner, they can just throw that barcode page on top of the letter written by the department head, and they'll scan it right through. And then we'll go ahead and we'll store these inside of Laserfish. So we'll store that, we'll close out of here, and you'll notice that we have one more application, or excuse me, one more document in this folder now, which was the document that we had just scanned in. I'll open this up, and you'll see that the first page is the barcode that we scanned to tell the scanner where to route the document, and the second two pages, number 2 and 3, they're the typed up reviews that each of the department's head wrote for Dr. Dorian. So we'll close out of here, and so while we're here right now, I'm just going to open up another Laserfish client. I'm going to log in as the administrator, so the healthcare administrator. I'm going to log in, and you'll see that there's a little bit of different view here on our folder browser, just to kind of show the flexibility in the software, where if you want users here on the left to have a very specific view when they're accessing and interacting with documents, you can also have a more global view for administrators who are kind of overseeing all the documents within your hospital. So they could see into the business office, they could see into the front desk, they could look into patient billing, and then there could be even specific folders for physicians if that's how you want to set it up. So we'll look in here and we'll see that the business office holds the credentialing files and my new applicants. If I go in here, this was exactly what we were looking at within SharePoint. We had our 6 applicants, including Dr. Dorian's, and then we have the same files that we see for Dr. Dorian. One other way of getting documents inside a Laserfish repository is to simply drag and drop from Windows. So in this case, if we have electronic documents that we want to get in, we have the same letter that was written by the department heads, but this time we have it typed up in Word, Microsoft Word. We could just drag and drop, get them in there, and it's stored in its native Word format. And when we open this, it's also in its native Word format, and so we could edit these as needed if we need to. So once that's complete, we can open this up and say chairperson review status has been complete. And so next, that's going to shoot it off to the credentials committee. You'll notice down here for their recommendation, and then down to the medical executive committee decision. Really quickly, you'll also notice that the chairperson reviewer was automatically filled in based on the templates that we dropped down. So we knew that internal medicine is going to be delegated to Perry Cox, Dr. Perry Cox, and pediatrics will be delegated to Dr. Ken Jenkins. And then we're going to go ahead and skip ahead in this process. The credentialing committee will take a look, say they appoint them, and if all goes well, the medical exec committee, also based on the recommendations and the background check, they'll also choose to appoint Dr. Dorian. So we could go back, and now the board will receive an email to the board that says, please appoint a committee to review the included application packet and make a decision. So at the next board meeting, they'll actually review the application, vote, and make a decision on whether Dr. Dorian should be appointed for privileges at our hospital. And if everything goes well, We'll say yes. We can say he is being appointed. Okay. And we'll go back to our email client, and finally we'll see an email generated that can go either directly to Dr. Dorian or even to just the internal staff, letting all the players involved know that the application has been reviewed and the board has decided to grant Dr. Dorian provisional privileges effective immediately. And finally, we'll refresh this and it'll show the credentialing status update for Dr. Dorian, letting us know that he has been approved to practice at our hospital, Los Angeles County Hospital. So again, this is just one example of a business process that a healthcare organization can rapidly deploy using the tools offered by SharePoint and Laserfiche. This can work for revenue cycle management, it can work for personnel files, human resources onboarding, pretty much any department that has a need for documentation, imaging, and workflow tools. SharePoint and Laserfiche have the tools to help facilitate that with a single investment.